interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Vikings Uncensored. Apologize for the short delay in the episode tonight. I got caught in a downpour in road construction, so it took me a little while longer to get home than I had originally anticipated. But we're here and we are live once again. Few things going on this week to talk about. Of course, we've got OTAs wrapping up. We'll talk about a few things out of that. Mandatory minicamp starting next week, and some pretty heavy, dare I say, ludicrous rumors circling around that we're going to discuss as well. And before we get started, for those of you just joining the show, happiest of birthdays to my co-host, my compatriot, my counterpart, my buddy, Mr. Brunswick.
Thank you.
So everybody make sure to wish Brunswick a happy birthday in the comments. And hopefully he's got something planned for later in the evening that's a little bit on the enjoyable side. We'll see.
Wolves game. Game 5.
Yep. Also part of the reason why we bumped the show up to 6 o'clock so we could get out of here and let people that wanted to watch that game watch it. But so with that, let's kind of roll right into this. One NFL, non-Vikings related, more or less, to bring up. Another wide receiver gets a contract extension today. The Dolphins signed wide receiver Jalen Waddle to a 3-year, $84.75 million extension, 76 mil of that guaranteed. Now, of course, then you see all the national pundits and the fire starters and all those other ones out there going, well, this is going to affect the Justin Jefferson contract and all this stuff. Jalen Waddle getting $28 million a year has zero effect on the Justin Jefferson contract.
Good for Miami, though, for getting it done. Honestly, good for them. I mean, they're kind of in cap hell, but they worked it out with Waddle. Even before contract discussions, I believe, have even become a narrative down there for him. So now they're Miami.
Yep. We'll get to that in a little while here, Reggie. So we'll save that for later on. But yeah, the other
39,
thing,
Drew, 39 years young.
The thing for Miami now is they got to make a decision on whether or not they are going to extend one Tua Tagovailoa, because he's got a contract coming up here fairly soon. But other contract news, Vikings fans, you asked for it. And once again, we spoke it into existence. The Vikings yesterday re-signed guard Dalton Risner to a 1-year deal. I have not heard the terms of the contract as of yet. I know it's a 1-year deal. There is guaranteed money in it. And there's some incentives. If he is the starter for the majority of the games, there's a performance bonus type thing to it. But I haven't heard the actual numbers yet. If anybody has heard them, throw them in the chat down there and we'll talk about them. But
So what do you think? Do you think we're penciling in Brandel as a starter for Risner's job to take, or is Risner once again penciled in as a starter?
I think they saw something in the last week and a half of OTAs.
See, that was my first thought as well, but then I just had that thought too,
Yeah.
Are they letting Brandel keep the job? Or, because when you brought up the whole starting so many games incentive, that's what kind of my gears started turning in my brain. Do they plan on starting him, or are they letting Brandel run with it and then making Risner win the job again? I don't know.
I think it's Blake Brandel has never played left guard before. And, it went
They
from...
seen something in practice these last few weeks that they just figured...
It went from last week, everybody from Wes Phillips to, other coaches and stuff saying that Blake Brandel has earned the opportunity to go for a starting job, to all of a sudden bringing back the guy that was the starter last year. So at the very least, I think it's an open competition. If Brandel beats out Risner, so be it. I think Risner, just from an incumbent standpoint, has the inside track on it right now. Yeah. Jason, evening. Yeah. Welcome from Florida. Thank you. I think it's going to be interesting to see, mandatory minicamp next week when they start, running who's the ones, who's the twos and stuff like that. See where they put Risner and where they put Brandel.
Yeah, that'll be telling very much. So,
I think that'll give us a good idea of what. But I think there's, we talked about this right after free agency that neither you nor I were comfortable with going in with Blake Brandel being the unquestioned starter at left guard.
And a lot of people like us and fans as well were really unsure about that as well going into the season, I believe too. Yeah. I think for real, I believed it was just a matter of time before we reached back out to Risner again and offered a contract. And sure enough, here we are.
Yeah. And, we've talked about the Risner situation a lot. Why is he always...
Great point. That sums it up right here.
Absolutely. That's perfectly said, Drew. Risner, as far as pass blocking last year was good. He was, very serviceable to decent as a pass blocker. It was his run blocking that was bad.
Yeah. And for the signing to come this early in the OTAs, without pads, especially along the trenches, that has to say something too, as well. But yeah, I think Risner will start week 1. But
I do too. Ryan makes a great point here. And that was kind of the point I was trying to make earlier. If they were, oh my God, Blake Brandel is the second coming of Steve Hutchinson at left guard, we'd have never re-signed Risner.
Yeah.
So, we all know that Risner's run blocking is a liability. Maybe if he's in for the entire training camp and preseason and all this stuff, they can work on that. But
that's another good point by Reggie too. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Either way, we got depth. And the thing with Brandel is he can play all 4 spots. I've never seen Brandel play center, but I know that he came into the league as a swing tackle, and he's been converted to guard. So it's nice to know that we got a guy that can play any position on the line.
Yeah, but realistically, they brought in Juergens to compete for that center spot.
Yeah.
And
hopefully compete is the best way to put it. Yes.
Yep. Ryan, another question. Next question: Does Brandel shorten Ingram's leash? I don't think so.
I think right now Ingram is entrenched as that right guard, and that's for his. If he loses his spot, it's because his play has dropped. Not saying a lot about his play. I think he's gotten better as he's been out there and gotten the reps throughout the last 2 years. But I believe that he's our starting right guard, and that's in bold writing.
Yeah,
and if he loses his spot, that's his own downfall.
I mean, we ripped on him a lot year one, deservedly so, and the early part of last year, deservedly so. But the second half of last year, he stepped his game up quite a bit, I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
And to another point, I know we've heard Drew mention this many times over on Vikings Report when they're doing player breakdowns and stuff too. A lot of times it takes a guard 2 to 3 years to fully get to that point where they are 100% up to speed with the NFL. And especially now, the way college is now, those guys coming out of, these air raid offenses and things like that, where it's not, the old school Big Ten line up the hogs in the middle and punch you in the mouth kind of stuff. It's that faster, smaller, more agile guys that can move out in space and things like that. So that, there's a transition period to getting to the NFL where you still want that ability to move and get out in space and stuff, but the guys on the other side are also bigger, faster, stronger, and you've got to be able to counteract that. Ryan's coming with all the good ones here tonight. Ingram gotten better, quite a bit better. Did have the what the F game late in the year. Just saying,
his consistency as a starter has gotten much better. He's not having a lot of those what the fuck moments like he did and he came in. He started from the get go, so you should expect those type of moments along the way where you're going to pull your hair out and be like, "What the fuck were you doing?" But the fact that he's learning from his mistakes and improving his mechanics and getting better at his position is also very positive. And it's as far as I'm concerned, he's our right guard of the future, and until different.
Well, and another point, to the depth thing, Dalton Risner's played quite a bit of right guard too. So if they decide Blake Brandel's the guy there, and if Ed Ingram's struggles over on the right side, you can move Risner in there. Reggie with a good one here. And that's probably a
good segue.
Great segue over into the OTA recap. Dallas Turner, B-Flow. So starting out, the OTAs wrapped up this week. To Reggie's point, yesterday, Christian Darrisaw they were interviewing him after practice, and they asked him what they thought of Dallas Turner, and he could not wait to start gushing about how good this kid is. I mean, he said he saw Turner put a spin move on somebody during practice. He said that spin move was faster than Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, it's definitely the stuff that you want to hear.
Yep.
Especially from a veteran.
Yep. Now he did make it a point to, because he was asked, he said, did he make it against you or did he make it against somebody else? And Darius said, no, he made it against somebody else. It wasn't against me. But
of course.
Yeah. Another point by Drew there. Risner also played right tackle at Kansas State. Yep. So he's got that position flexibility. I wouldn't put him at left tackle, but he can play the other three of the other four spots on the line. So, then Jordan Addison kind of making some waves in OTAs as well. He came out, they interviewed him, it was either yesterday or today as well. He said he put a lot of time in during the off season, refining how he makes his breaks in the initial burst off the line. He said last year, he said he wasn't really confident in his releases. He said, I really didn't have a plan when I went up to the off the line.
If that's the case, that's scary for the rest of the league.
Yep. He said, I was indecisive and I just freelanced too much because I didn't know what I was doing. He said, I made that a point in the off season. He said, I'm going to the line with a plan now. The kid had 900 and some yards receiving.
910 yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns.
I think it was more than that, wasn't it?
It might have been more than that. Yeah.
I thought it
I
was
knew it was 9-10 on the yardage.
9 or
but I'm
10.
not
I
quite
thought he
sure on
had,
the touchdowns. But I knew he had quite a few.
Yeah. So if your number 2 guy is coming up with that kind of stuff, and as good as he was last year, especially, I think one of the best things that could have happened to Jordan Addison was stepping in to that wide receiver 1 role when Jefferson
That's
went
what
down.
I was going to say. Yeah. He was a number 2 guy, but he was forced into that number 1 spot. And the thing is his play did not fall off, but it kept continuing to get better. And going up against other teams' number 1 corners and still being able to put up decent very good numbers.
Right.
From a rookie that didn't know what he was doing when he got to the line of scrimmage, as he says. It is nice to hear,
Yeah. How many times do you see a young guy like that gets thrust into that position and ends up, just crapping the bed because they can't take on the, like you said, the, big play Slays or the Sauce Gardners of the world or that kind of stuff, the other team's number 1 cornerbacks.
This kid's going to get scrappy. I just have a feeling that Addison's going to be one of our scrappier players as far as, just don't fuck with me type of attitudes and just going out and making plays.
Yeah. Drew with a question here. Do you think either of you guys think the Vikings will grab a wide receiver in free agency before the season starts or just go with the guys that are currently on the roster? I'll let you take her first there, Brunswick.
I think it's very possible, but I mean, what is really out there? I mean, Renfro, I wouldn't be upset with taking a look at, but there's really not much out there that I don't believe we can already have on this roster, or as far as ceilings goes, could be higher than what's in free agency. Can Naylor stay healthy? That would be huge. Right. He's having another good. From all accounts, a good offseason as far as catching the ball goes. Can one of these guys like Thayer Thomas step up and take that next step and break the 53-man roster? And then a couple of these other guys that were undrafted free agents coming in this year, can they untap their potential and possibly break their 53? I don't know. But as far as what's available in free agency, outside of maybe giving Renfro a look, I don't see anything too appealing to me.
No, I really don't either, and I'm not all that excited about Renfro either, to be honest with you. I'm looking at it. The coaching staff loves Brandon Powell. He was wide receiver 3 for a better part of last year.
I like me some Powell as well, and I with where Renfro's at in his time, I see Powell as a little bit. He has more time left in his career than what Renfro's on the downturn of his career. So,
yeah. And you got some of the young guys, like you said, the Tristan Jacksons of the world, Thayer Thomases. Trent Sherfield was a guy they brought in this year, another former.
Who was looking good as well.
He was a McVay and O'Connell guy. So, I think he's got an opportunity. He had a really nice touchdown catch the other day in camp from McCarthy.
Yeah.
But you've also got the 2 Mercer kids they brought in, both wide receivers. Devron Harper's a guy I think they like. Forget the other guy's name. I think we have brought in like 3 or 4 wide receivers. Jalen Naylor is a guy that can be that guy if he stays healthy.
His body can stay healthy. That's just it. He can, he has the ability to be a damn good receiver in this league. It's just if his body would not get injured, or whatnot, but he just can't stay healthy. I mean, he's a good receiver. We've seen flashes of it. The Chicago game a couple years back was great.
Yeah, he had a hell of a game on that one, but.
So, and if we do go out to look at getting another receiver, it says more about what we have on the roster than what it does, about what we don't.
Yeah. And I guess the way I look at it, they're going to want to get all the looks out of the guys that they've got throughout training camp, mini camps, rest of the off summer work. And if they don't like what they see and they don't think they have enough, then maybe at final roster cuts, when somebody gets let go, they may bring somebody in then.
And I will say this, I find more excitement in a guy that has that untapped talent that you can bring in homegrown in your own organization that's going to be hungry, that's going to want to go out there and make plays to prove his worth, more so than some guy that we've already seen play X amount of years and kind of realize where they're at and what they bring to the table.
Yeah. And, a guy like Renfro doesn't really fit that mold of the player that Kwesi looks for. He looks for those 24 to 26-year-old guys coming off their first contract and things like that,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they roll with what they got for right now. But then, of course, on to the primary attraction at OTAs, as has been for the last 2 weeks. One, J.J. McCarthy. Jordan Addison commented on him as well when he was out there. He said, he's got a really nice tight spiral and comes in quick, so you got to make sure you catch it. He's been playing with confidence, anticipating his throws. He's been making mistakes, but the key is he's learning from his mistakes. And Addison sounded really excited to be playing with this kid. I mean,
I think his numbers from 7-on-7 yesterday was 7 of 8. And then his numbers for 11 on 11s was, I believe, 9 of 11. And I mean, that great numbers to see. I've also heard conflicting reports that he's not looking good, but I've also heard that that's just people spouting crap.
The ones I've heard that are saying he struggled are people who aren't, the Vikings beat reporters and everything, all those guys that are there watching this team on a daily basis are saying the kid,
yes,
he's
the insiders, the ones that are in the know,
right,
are saying what we want, are saying what they see.
They're trying to temper expectations, but guys like Alec Lewis from The Athletic, Doogie Wolfson, Judd Zolgad, Kevin Seifert, all these guys that are around this team, Will Raggets, on a regular basis are saying, he's young. He's 21 years old. He's going to make some mistakes. He's got stuff to work on, but they say they can see that the talent there.
Yeah.
You've seen that video running around all over social media. I'm sure that touchdown pass he threw to Sherfield in the back of the end zone. I mean, that was a Favre to Greg Lewis type pass almost. It was, toe tapped her and brought her down. And he had another one. He hit Thayer Thomas out in the flat and he busted up field and, took it to House. And from some of the insider guys I've been watching and listening to, stuff, they were talking earlier, a couple of weeks ago worried about the amount of touch on his passes and stuff like that, and versus just trying to throw it through the barn wall. There's a few of these passes that, when the Vikings have put out their little promo video clip stuff from practices. Yeah. He's got the touch on the ball. He's showing that. I mean, of course they're not showing the god awful passes that he inevitably is going to make a few of, but those ones that they're highlighting look pretty damn good.
Yeah. But, with that being said, Sam Darnold has looked really well as well.
Yeah, he does. He has.
He is throwing darts, and honestly, this may be the biggest moment of his career since draft day, where he can control the narrative. And I'm leaning towards now, as much as I want to see JJ take the field, it's going to come down to Darnold just not. If Darnold shits the bed, that's the only reason McCarthy's going to see the field.
Yeah, and I want McCarthy to see the field too, but and we've said this, you said it, I've said it the whole time. We hired Kevin O'Connell to identify and develop the future franchise quarterback for this team. So I'm going to trust in the plan, that they've mentioned. They have several milestones that McCarthy has to hit before they deem him to be ready.
I think even if he hits those milestones, I don't even know that if Darnold continues to show that he can be the guy, I don't even know that they give McCarthy the reins of the team.
I mean, if Darnold comes out and we start the season 6-3, 7-2, something like that, no, I don't think they do. They keep riding him until the wheels fall off.
This is a huge opportunity for Sam Darnold to flip the script.
Oh,
on
absolutely.
his career.
And if Sam Darnold comes out and plays to that potential, I mean, he's going to turn his I'm going to be a career backup to I'm going to be starting for a team and making 40-some million a year next year.
Exactly.
So
and that all, you know what that all spells out for us is positive things.
Yeah. And as much as, to your point too, as much as I want to see JJ McCarthy on the field, I hope Sam Darnold plays well enough to where we don't see McCarthy this year.
Yeah. Yeah. As much as I'm excited to see McCarthy, if Darnold could ball out, then you fucking let him ball out.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we got
conversely,
a guy of the future in their locker room. So
conversely, if McCarthy starts week 1, I'm fine with that too.
Exactly.
So we'll see. Another cool thing with McCarthy, Harrison Phillips, who has his foundation and stuff. He works with kids with developmental disabilities and things like that. Had his football camp today, and JJ McCarthy was one of the guys that came over to help with that football camp. Actually, there were several of the undrafted guys that showed up and came to help and stuff too, so which is pretty cool. But seeing the future face of the franchise coming out, I mean, that had to have been a thrill and a half for those kids.
And I believe that's just who he is as a person, JJ. I think there's a lot of stuff that a lot of us fans are going to love about this kid. Just as far as a person, the type of person that he is.
Oh, I agree. You've got the people that are mumbling, grumbling, and pissing and moaning in the background because McCarthy wasn't their guy, or
that's just it. He wasn't their guy. That's just it.
Yeah, or they're
look at the box score and don't watch the tape.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, he can't. He only threw for 200 and some yards a game. Well, he didn't need to throw for 500 yards a game because they were running for 300.
And that was what was working. It's not like they were playing from behind. It's not like they were playing from behind running the ball.
Nope.
So
Drew with a good point here again. Yeah. Hope KOC doesn't start him and before he's ready. I agree with that 100%. I was of the mindset before that, the best way to learn is to go out and play. But again, we got to look long-term on this. And if they don't think he's ready, then don't play him.
I love the relationship that O'Connell is building in this quarterback room as well. There's no sense of, I'm not going to help you out because you're a competition type of deal, that type of feeling. Where I feel like McCarthy and Darnold get along great from what I've seen from all reports. Darnold's a willingness to hand down his little bits of nuggets of knowledge and stuff like that. And then McCown kind of just rounds it all out. I like what I see in that quarterback room right now, just from a coaching standpoint.
And that was something McCown had an interview today too, or press or whatever it was, and said one of the things they are pushing. I'm not even putting that up on the screen, Drew. You shut your whore mouth on that one.
No, I love the relationship in this, the feeling of what's going on in the quarterback room, but continue.
But anyway, yeah, McCown is saying, one thing they're doing with JJ right now is they are feeding him a ton of plays out of the playbook. And then they're turning right around and telling him, okay, this is what it is. Go out and do it. And they said a lot of that stuff he's doing. He's figuring it out. He's going out there. He's got.
And you know what? If Darnold balls and McCarthy is doing these things, just imagine what he's going to do when given the opportunity.
Right.
Whether that be in the middle of the season, which if Darnold's balling out, that's not going to be the case, or whether it be to start next year. And if he's doing everything they ask and he's doing it well and he looks good, but at the same time, Darnold is doing really well and leading the team to victories, then we got a bright fucking future here in Minnesota.
Oh,
as far as Vikings fans go.
Absolutely. Anything more you want to hit on the OTAs before we roll into the juicy stuff?
No, I think we nailed it pretty well.
Okay. Of course, the big firestorm that came back out again this week was originally floated by Mike Florio back around draft time, I guess. But, for some reason or another, Mike Florio has been trying to get Justin Jefferson traded from the
That's what it
team
feels
for
like. It sure fucking
months.
feels that way.
Last week he's telling, basically going out there and saying the Vikings are playing games with Justin Jefferson, and they're about to they're already doing the fuck around, and they're about ready to find out what happens when you do all this stuff. But the rumor that came out, and Charlie Walters from Pioneer Press put this out. Now, I got into a fight with somebody on a heated discussion, we'll put it as, with somebody on Twitter X about Charlie Walters. The guy was saying that Charlie is so well connected and everything. Charlie Walters has not been well connected since the 1980s. He's a Sid Hartman type dinosaur. Most of the time, if you read any of his columns, it's all speculation, hearsay, and throwing shit against the wall to see what sticks. All due respect to Charlie, he's been in the game a long time, but that's what most of his stuff seems like it is. But pushing the rumor this past week that the Vikings were actively trying to trade up to number 5, not to take a quarterback, but to take wide receiver Malik Neighbors. And if they were going to be able to do so, then they would have turned around, traded Justin Jefferson to pick the quarter, and then got a quarterback.
No.
There was, and Florio ran with this, Walters ran with it, but credit to all the actual connected beat writers, Kevin Sievert, Doogie Wilson, others like that. They all went in there and shot this down and said, no, that was absolute bullshit. The Vikings were never going to go draft Malik Neighbors. They were never going to trade Justin Jefferson. Dave, absolutely. And that's just the stuff he puts out. It's clickbait stuff anymore. It's all, and Mike Florio is the same way. I used to really enjoy Florio, but nowadays he's turned into another Howard Stern NFL shock jock type thing where you're just putting obscene, ludicrous bullshit out there to generate traffic to your site, generate clicks, all of that other crap. But, like I said, Seifert put a whole thing out the other day that said, no, this is BS. Now, I did hear an interesting take on this that maybe has a little bit of stuff. And I know our buddy Ted posted it on Gallery earlier. What's
diversion? That? Is this a diversion conspiracy theory?
Yes, the subterfuge and confusion and all that other stuff. There is a rumor of the rumor that there may have been buzz out there that the Vikings were interested in Malik Neighbors, but it was nothing more than to fuck with the Giants, because the Giants were putting out the fake buzz that they wanted JJ McCarthy, which they never did. They always wanted Malik Neighbors. So the rumor, and I've heard it from a couple different places, not from any of the big guys, but guys who I would say are relatively reasonable in their takes a lot of times that I follow and talk to, that this may have been a thing that the Giants were taking, we might take McCarthy. So Kwesi's like, oh yeah, well, we might take Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
So
people just need to just let the process carry itself out, and what happens is going to happen. And in my heart of hearts, I believe that we're going to sign Justin Jefferson before the season begins.
Oh, absolutely. And the funny thing about all of this is Florio has been pushing all that shit for the last 3 months. Now, today, I think it was, he did a complete 180 and said, it is possible, if not likely, that the contract deal for Justin Jefferson comes within the next week.
Wow.
So 5 minutes ago, he was trying to trade him to whatever team would give us a bag of footballs and a half-eaten donut to now he's, I think he's seen the writing on the wall. And I posed a question to him directly and he never responded to me. So I'm guessing he's got better things to do than respond to some low rate pot. But he was talking about Micah Parsons and how he doesn't think Micah Parsons is going to show up to mandatory minicamp for the Cowboys absent a contract. So I asked Florio straight out, I said, so where are all the trade rumors and stuff that, he's going to be traded out of Dallas because you been putting him out for Justin Jefferson for the last 2 months. I said, fair is fair. If we have him on one, we should have him on another, shouldn't we? And he never responded back to me. So
I love the analogy that Bianchi has. And of course, Drew, I believe that as well. Neighbors doesn't want to be with the Giants.
Who wants to be with the Giants? I wouldn't want to play for the Giants just for the fact of those god-awful, ugly throwback uniforms they came with.
No, with the Jefferson thing, I've also heard this, and it's not really a rumor. It's just something that's been thrown out there as speculation. I've heard that he's waiting to see what CD Lamb gets paid. And these guys are playing the waiting game with each other because once one gets paid, then the next one's going to want to get paid just a little bit more, and they're waiting on one or another to sign the dotted line.
Yep. And our buddy Dustin Baker had an article about that earlier this week too. He said that's the most likely domino yet to fall is they're playing.
That might be where I seen it actually. Yeah.
Yeah. They're playing chicken to see which one blinks first and which one signs first. So, but also, looking at Justin Jefferson has the same agent as JJ McCarthy. So I think they're not going to be any kind of weird stuff going on. I
think that's a good thing that goes into play as well.
I think it is too. Myself, I think the CD Lamb thing is definitely probably one of the holdups. There might be a little bit on some of the guaranteed money and stuff. We've been seeing a lot of these 3-year deals coming in. I think the Vikings are going to want to push Jefferson to like a 5-year deal, 4 to 5 year deal.
I agree. I would hope so.
Because here again, if you, give them a 5-year deal, make the first 3 years guaranteed, you can backload a little bit of the guaranteed money and signing bonuses and shit like that to spread it out over that 5. And
then another positive about the agent being the same is trying to keep JJ and JJ together, for as long as their careers pan out and as long as they're being successful as a tandem, Exactly, Drew. Yes.
Yep. And, and that's what the Vikings are banking on. They're fine paying Justin Jefferson $35 million a year ish or what. And I think I'd be shocked if he gets under 35. I think it's 35 to 37 somewhere in there he signs for.
That sounds like a good sweet spot. Yeah. Yeah.
But, they're going to be fine paying Justin Jefferson $37 million for the next 5 years when they've got JJ McCarthy on a rookie contract for the next 5 years.
And to me, from what I could see, is JJ seems like the guy that loves the game. And I'm not going to say this is what will happen, but he'll be more lenient when it comes down to his contract being discussed. And whether, walking it like he talks it, you should say,
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that 5 years from now. We got 5 years before that.
Right, yeah.
4 years before that becomes a topic of discussion.
VU in year 9, we'll talk about that then.
Right.
But, again, the local guys, most all of them seem to think Jefferson will be here for mandatory minicamp next week. Same thing he did last year. He wasn't here for OTAs last year, showed up for mandatory minicamp, did his thing, all was right with the world.
Yeah.
It may be.
People still talk.
Of course. Well, it's the slow time of the year. They got to throw all these places like Pro Football Talk, like the majors, ESPN, Fox Sports, all these other ones.
If Jefferson doesn't show up to mandatory minicamps, will be the first time that he has done something like that.
Yeah.
you know, whether it be cryptic tweets or, you know, not showing up to something mandatory, you know, he's been, and that's another thing. That's why I don't buy into this whole, he's getting traded somewhere.
No.
Or he's not happy here.
Yeah. And the whole, he was pissed because of the Malik Neighbors thing. No, he wasn't pissed about it. And if Kwesi did in fact put that out there, I will guarantee you that he called Justin Jefferson, or at least his agent, and said, "Hey, you might hear this. Don't read anything into it.
Guaranteed.
We're fucking with the we're fucking with the Giants. We have no interest in Neighbors. We're getting you a quarterback."
Right. Right. Jefferson's definitely in the know when it comes to anything that involves his name.
Oh, absolutely. So, and I mean, Jefferson was at, what was it, game 1 or game 2 of the Western Conference Finals for the Timberwolves. If he hated Minnesota and wanted the hell out of here, he ain't going to come back on his free time to go to the basketball game.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just point at things like the small things like that.
Yeah.
They're positive small things, but people don't want to point at the positive small things. They want
to because the positive small things don't drive clicks to your website or to your, you know, to your articles that you post or your tweets or that other stuff. So it's, you know, it's not just sports. It's not, you know, regular news media, everything else. It's all about sensationalizing the bullshit, whether it's sports, whether it's politics, whether it's whatever. There is no, or well, I'm not saying there is no, but it's harder to find, you know, the stuff that doesn't have an agenda.
Right.
You know,
yeah, that's a good way.
And that's, you know, like the content creators, that's where we come in. It's because we're not beholden to anybody, you know, some of the bigger, you know, some of the ones, they put stupid shit out there just to get clicks to their website. I won't mention names, but there's a heavy list.
Misleading thumbnails is a good way to pick the,
you know, or, you know, explosive headlines, National Enquirer type bullshit, stuff like that. You know, guys like us, guys like Drew and Ted, guys like our buddy Justin Day, and
down to earth conversations on things that are worth talking about.
Right. You know, there's a whole slew of Vikings content creators out there, you know, Minnesota Sports Talk, Purple and Gopher Days Rap, GG Sports, JJ Vikes, Drew and Ted and Chris, any number of guys that we go out there. We're going to talk about real stuff, not just crap that's going to make the,
and then try to smooth over this shit that is just a bunch of hog shit.
Yeah.
You know,
we do the bullshit to bring you the real stuff. That's what we're going to do.
Right.
So, GMAC, better late than never, bud.
Thanks, bud. Thanks for all the happy birthdays, Mickey.
Yes.
Once again, thanks to you too as well for the happy birthday. Appreciate it.
Yep. Anything else you want to cover tonight there, Lance?
No, I think we wrapped it up pretty well as to what we got going on so far in the Vikings world.
Little shorter show tonight, but it's off season, so we kind of know that it is. If anybody else in the comments has anything we want to talk about, quick, throw it out there.
I've heard anybody in the comments want to hit us up for a couple more things going on ahead. I've heard 50th birthday, 39, man. 6 to 8 weeks 4 to 6 weeks for Hawkinson as far as the return to
in season.
Yeah.
Not 4 to 6 weeks from now. He'll miss the
right. 4 to 6 weeks into season. Yeah.
He will start on the PUP list. I'm pretty sure of it.
Oh yeah. Yep. Or ineligible to return. Yeah, the IR eligible to return.
All right. Drew throws a question out there. Will KOC be more aggressive offensively this year?
I think that depends on the run game.
Yeah.
I think that depends solely on the run game, how well that is. It just depends on how well he mixes in that run game and how well that run game works. And if we can hold on to the fucking ball.
Yeah. Well, with the run game and fumbling and stuff, Aaron Jones isn't known as a fumbler, so I think that's, bodes
Madison
well
wasn't known as a fumbler either until last year.
No, he wasn't, but But last year we had all kinds of people fumbling that weren't known as fumblers too, So
A lot of fucking kooky, typical Viking shit happened in the first fucking 8 weeks of our season last year.
Right.
But yeah, I believe that, yeah, he will. If the run game clicks and we can get yards, 4 yards a pop, 5 yards a pop, what Aaron Jones has averaged throughout his career. Yeah, then absolutely you take more shots down the field. You look for passing lanes, and if he wants, he's got the guys to do it. Like I said, I love this quarterback room. I really do. I like I see what's going on in there. I love it. It's going to bring the best out of both quarterbacks. And if Darnold gets the best out of that, McCarthy, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, might not start this year because Darnold is playing so well. It doesn't mean that McCarthy's not playing good. It doesn't mean that he should be starting. It's because they're taking their time and doing it. They're doing it the right way, but they're also doing it because Darnold is having a good season.
Right. I mean, myself, I think
Darnold does not mean McCarthy sucks.
No. I think that, that one key thing that we're going to have this year, regardless of who starts, is we are going to have a quarterback with mobility. Something we did not have before, because we all know Cousins was a statue in the pocket and did not want to get out of the pocket, did not want to go off.
That's going to help out the offensive line tremendously. That offensive line ranking will go way up if that's the case, because the ability of the quarterback to move outside of the pocket and make plays on the outside.
Yep.
That's going to bring up your pass protection grades, and that's going to bring up the overall play of your offensive line. Like when you're used to having Kirk drop back, and if nothing's there and somebody comes and taps him and takes a sack, it's not going to happen with guys like Darnold or McCarthy. They're going to run out of that and try to make a play on the outside.
Yep. I mean, Kirk half the time seems scared to step up into the pocket. Now, granted, some of that was because,
but when he did, he looked great. I mean, when
he could do it. He definitely could do it. It just, he sat back there and he got inside his own head, and he sat there and he sat there and he sat there, and that's why a lot of those sacks happened.
Yeah,
because he was holding the ball for 5 seconds.
And a lot of those sacks you're not going to have with these guys that we have right now, because they're going to roll out to the outside and look to make plays on the edges of the field.
Yeah, we've all seen the college tape of McCarthy. I mean, there was a play I saw a tape on the other day that, it was a run play to Blake Corum, and JJ freaking McCarthy outran Blake Corum, got out in front of him, running down the sidelines, and threw a block to get Corum in the end zone.
Yep.
You would have never seen Kirk Cousins do that.
Oh, fuck no. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about JJ McCarthy for, because he's going to be the first one down there to congratulate whoever gets that TD.
Yeah. McCarthy, I think, has the potential to have some of that Brett Favre enthusiasm out there on the field. That's what my brother
just said off to the side. Yeah, Favre would be a great comp as far as what you're going to see in the game. Not so much with the interceptions, but the way that you see the love of the game just glow off of the player.
Yep. Ryan here, do you think about the offense? Does anyone think Sam Darnold can outdo?
I think it's possible. I think it's possible.
It's not completely outrageous to think that. I guess, and this was said, Colin Cowherd, take him for what he's worth and whatever all else, and all the rookie quarterbacks, the ideal landing spot for any of them was Minnesota, because of what we have here for weapons. I mean, if a quarterback cannot succeed here, then he's going to have a hard time succeeding anywhere, I believe.
That's a good way to put it. Yes. Everything is in place. Everything that we've done on tape up to this moment with the core of group of guys that we have here, it's the only thing that's missing is the guy that disperses the ball after every snap.
Yeah.
And what he's going to do with it. The talent around him is there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like I said, I think Darnold has a career year this year. I think he has I said this before we even drafted McCarthy. Sam Darnold can bring this team to the playoffs as a wild card at the very least.
I agree at the very least. And that's going to say that this NFC North division is going to be a tougher division this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think Detroit regresses to the mean a little bit. I'm still not sold on Jordan Love. I mean, he played very well the second half of the season.
Going back to last week, I'm not sold on Jordan Love at all.
No. But here again, now everybody has a full season worth of tape on him. So what do they do in the process? And everybody's discounting what the mad scientist is going to bring on the defensive side of the ball for the Vikings.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are discounting the Vikings in general. A lot. And that's fine by me. I love that. That's a motivation for me anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Grenard who if he can stay healthy, is very good. I mean, he was right up there in sacks last year, had 12 and a half sacks. Van Ginkel, I love his energy. He's a guy that the locker room is going to love. He's always around the ball. And the early reports on Dallas Turner, I mean, if this kid is anywhere close to what the hype has been coming out of OTAs with this thing, we aren't going to miss Danielle Hunter a bit.
Also, on the coverage aspect, I guess Griffin is looking great as well during OTAs. So that might be one of those underrated pickups that we had this offseason.
Yeah, I think
Griffin.
So. And it's going to allow Byron Murphy Jr. to go back into the slot, whereas, that's his natural position. So
I think that's for fucking Turner to decide. I don't know, man. I mean, I would love to see double digits. I would love to see, but I think 8 is a fair number.
Yeah, because I think at least to begin with, he's going to rotate with.
Yeah, I think anything above 8 is a fair prediction.
I think him and Van Ginkel rotate to start with Grenard starting on the other side, and they'll go with the hot hand. And they're going to bring him in. They're going to have all 3 of those guys out on the field at some point in time. They'll put one of them up at end, or they're going to run a 5-2 and they're going to have them spread out. They're going to be bringing these guys, harkening back to the NASCAR package that Zimmer ran a couple of times there, that worked out well. And that's, goes back to what Flores said in his introductory press conference when somebody asked him if they're going to run a 3-4 or 4-3. He said, I don't know, who are we playing next week?
He runs everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And just Flores in this system for another year, running this defense if he runs it anything like he did last year, it's gonna be scary. Not knowing when the rush is coming or when he disguises his looks and all that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be nice. I think we're gonna be very happy with that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Ryan here, Love had some good games in the stinker in the playoffs. Everyone wants to continue the lineage of quarterbacks in Green Bay. I'm not sold yet.
Yeah, I'm not sold by, in that first half of the season, he looked like complete trash, I'm not ready to buy into Love after just watching 8 decent games or 9, whatever it might be.
No, in that first game against us, he looked terrible.
He did. He looked like crap. He looked like complete crap.
Yeah, Lions are loaded. It'll be a dogfight. Yeah, Detroit is a good team. And they're still buying what Dan Campbell's selling there. But as we saw in the NFC Championship last year, he's still prone to making those stupid mistakes that end up costing his team.
I mean, and the window is open, but I mean, every year it shuts a little bit more for Detroit too, And then with the extension of Goff, and I mean, we'll see, because Detroit's bringing basically the same team back to Detroit's basically bringing back the same group of guys to the next season, and it's going to be the same. They're going to be trying to do the same type of things that they did this last year.
Yeah, well, they're paying over $150 million, I believe it is this year, to the trio of Goff, St. Brown, and Penei Sewell.
Yeah. It's going to be a dogfight in the NFC North. I just envision that.
Ryan thinks Turner's going to get 12 sacks and be a strong candidate for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Write it down. It would not surprise me one bit for that to happen. And it may be we get into training camp and preseason and stuff, and they see Turner out there and they're like, this kid's too damn good. We got to start him right away. But I mean, they're still going to rotate, and that's the problem. Last year, we didn't have any depth because when, we got late in the season and we started having injuries, all we had was Hunter, and he went three weeks without having a sack at the end of the season.
Yeah,
because Wanham went down with an injury, and Wanham was, Pat Jones wasn't getting the pressure that we had hoped for, and some of these other guys that we had in there weren't getting the pressure that we hoped for.
The depth on this team in general has really taken a step up in this past offseason.
I think so too, and that's what killed us so much during the end of the Spielman Zimmer regime. Is we were paying top dollar to a bunch of guys in the starting spots, but all of our depth came out of the $5 DVD bin at Walmart.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it, because we couldn't afford to pay for good depth.
Right. So, and that's the thing now. We're getting younger. We've got a ton of young talent here. We've got guys that hopefully can, probably aren't going to be ready this year, but 2025, 2026, things like that. These guys are going to hopefully develop into something, and that's how you build a successful team.
You got to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I could see it. It's there. How fast do you get there? It might be, it just depends.
Well, this is how you build a team that's going to be competing for titles for 5, 6, 10 years. Not
right.
The Vikings historically over the past 30 years plus have been, we're going to go
Band-Aids.
all in for you. We're going to get to the NFC Championship game.
We've been running it back for the past 40 years.
And it was, we were so damn close. We'll just add a couple little pieces. We'll extend some of the guys we got. And then we fall off. We don't even make the playoffs next year.
Yeah, we've been running it back for the last 35, 40 years.
This, I think, what Kwesi and KOC are building is this kind of a thing, and it's going to keep trending like this and trending like this. And one of these first years, we are going to be standing up there in February holding that Lombardi trophy with the purple and gold confetti falling down all over us.
Within the next 5 to 6 years, I guarantee it. And that's pushing it a little bit farther down the road. But I could see, realistically, within 3 years, making a good run at a Super Bowl trophy.
Yeah. I don't expect it this year. I think the team is going to surprise people, and I think we do make the playoffs. But we've all said this for the last, 2024 is kind of a transition year. 2025, 2026, where we've got all that cap space and where we can bring in,
anything
we still need guys on the, defensive line. We need a nasty ass nose tackle. We need somebody who can rush the passer from the defensive end spot.
Yep.
Yes, Jared, playoffs. I'm saying it right now. The Vikings will at least be a wild card this year.
I agree.
2025 Super Bowl champs, book it. I love it, Drew. And with that, that's a great spot to end for the night. We're pushing an hour here. The Timberwolves have already, I think did they kick off at 7 or 7? 7:30. So game 5 between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks tonight. So we wanted to get the show done prior to that. So those who wanted to go partake in that can go do so. I will be watching at least some of it. I got a few other things I got to take care of along the way here, but beyond that, want to thank everybody in the comment section for joining us tonight. Great topics, great discussion as always. We had a 39-minute show going, and you guys brought it out another 20 minutes with your comments and everything. I love that. That's why I love doing the live shows like we do.
Next Thursday again. Next Thursday night, 7 p.m. though.
Okay. So with that, again, big thank you to everybody. Shout out to the Filipino fan club. As always, Noy, Nympha, Sam, everybody over there who watches. I know you watch because you comment, and I hear it. We got, again, people around the world watching. We had a new viewer from Florida again tonight. Thank you to the new people who have joined us. We appreciate it. If you haven't done so, hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We try to be as active as possible on that. Again, happiest of birthdays to my co-host over here. Hope you had a good day and happy you have a great evening. And with that, take us out of here, birthday boy.
Oh man, yeah, I'm pumped for this game 5. You know, we push it to game 5, and if we win tonight, man, if we could get to game 7 in Minnesota, that just right there, one of the greatest playoffs series is in the NBA history, in my opinion. If we can get to the game 7 there in Minnesota, just keep believing. We're not out of it yet. We've won one with our back against the walls last week or a couple days ago. Excuse me. Let's win another one. 2 more games. And then to game 7. So, yeah, with that being said, everybody enjoy your night. Be safe. We'll see you next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Aubrey and Millie, if you're out there watching, Dad loves and misses you. Skol.
Have a good rest of the week and a good weekend, everybody.